Help support Friendo Club by going to patreon.com/Steven Larson or clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson. Access to bonus episodes, question threads for the Going In Raw podcast, and entry to our monthly wrestling predictions challenges. Join the Friendo Club today. Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. On today's episode, it's back, and this episode, Larson, better get a shit ton of views because everybody was bugging us to bring back our NXT reviews, and so today officially they are back. We are live with an NXT review today, but of course, because I kind of figured that it's not going to do all that great, we got to juice the episode up, and we're doing that by talking about the most controversial episode of Dynamite in the history of AEW, all in backstage grainy security cam footage.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on as far as how this episode performs. This doesn't get 10,000 in the first 24 hours. Guess what? We ain't doing it again.
24 hours, give me 6 hours.
6 hours, 10,000, 6 hours. All right. Challenge has been issued. Let's talk about this backstage footage. We've been talking about it ever since, all week since we've been, since it was announced that it was going to happen on Saturday during Collision. A couple little things new out there. Let's talk about this first, though, because yesterday AEW released a trailer for today's Dynamite, and it featured perhaps our first glimpse of what we can expect from the backstage footage from All In. Do you watch this little trailer?
Yeah, dude. There were, from what I can gather, like two very, very brief, like 10 frames?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Quarter of a second, maybe half a second. So there's a couple shots that I don't think are going to be what we actually see of literally through the curtain looking out at Wembley Stadium. But there was two. One, I think, was the camera moving this way. Through doors, it looked like.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then there was another one. It's all very grainy, all very shaky handheld stuff. At least those two shots were. But, we were wondering if it was strictly going to be like security camera footage. And maybe those shots backstage are going to be to kind of throw us off what is actually going to be. Or maybe they felt, well, let's get something just to move it in there to make it feel a little more urgent than static security cam, because they're obviously not going to show anything of consequence in this trailer. They want to save that for the show. Yeah. So if it's a situation where there were cameras back there or people out there with their phones up or something, I don't know, beyond just security camera footage, I mean, I guess already that's more than I was expecting. This trailer by itself does not give you much.
No. When you think about the fact that AEW had their All Access show, which we don't know what the status of that is, it wouldn't shock me if they had cameras rolling backstage at all times, always, just to have that footage. There's no downside to it. The capturing those kind of moments. We know in WWE, I was cracking up when we saw The Rock beating down Cody Rhodes a couple weeks ago outside. Yeah. And afterwards they released like what happened after cameras were rolling, and it was Rock saying, "Fuck your script," this, that, the other.
Yeah.
And one of the camera angles is kind of wide. 20 people with a wide variety of cameras, not just the TV people, but I swear 10 social media people along with Bobby Roode. We're all filming this thing. And in this day and age, like there's no downside, I would think, to just having cameras rolling everywhere all the time. And I sort of had figured that would be what we were going to get. And, it might be a kind of situation where they might not have mics everywhere, but if you have CM Punk saying something, like we'll get little subtitles, what I mean? Yeah. And, but no, I kind of firmly expect everything to be documented. It's just, I think obviously in our heads, especially because we're like owed, like we think it's going to be like this super grainy, security cam footage where it's like, they slow it down. It's like footage you get on YouTube of like ghosts.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Real ghosts,
exactly.
where it's like there's a red circle that follows the thing, and it's like,
and
this
like,
is
what the hell is
right
that?
Here.
What the hell is
right,
that?
Exactly.
That's a bug flying in front of the camera. That's not a ghost.
Yeah. But all sorts of people have been saying all sorts of things about this stuff, including
So Brian Alvarez, I don't know where this is a recent video clip, but I couldn't find it like on the Wrestling Observer website, so I don't know exactly where this is from. Just to preface, his and I don't think his account of Perry's perspective is necessarily new. I think that came out shortly after all.
Yeah.
Anyways, but just in terms, we're about to see footage, so this could possibly be what we see. So obviously, we've heard CM Punk's perspective on the MMA hours of his altercation with Jack Perry. And in the video clip making the rounds on Twitter, Brian Alvarez detailed a somewhat different sequence of events from Perry's point of view, and they are as follows. So after Perry's match, Punk steps up to him backstage and asks, "Do we have a problem?" Perry apparently said, "Nope." Punk said, "I could fuck you up if I wanted to," and then apparently started either swinging or pie-faced Jack Perry, then tried to put him in a guillotine, which either was unsuccessful or if was successful, Perry got out of, and then Punk threw a couple punches, and Joe's like, "All right, stop. Enough." So that could be what we're seeing tonight. And let's pause here before we get to this Dave Meltzer quote. If that's alone what we see in this footage, is that really enough to embarrass CM Punk?
Well,
or at least change the narrative so drastically from what Punk said on the MMA hours?
It sort of depends. Again, it all sort of depends on, and you and I had said this, and I've seen those other guys. Also, Dave Meltzer tweeted, I think this morning, last night, something, that, and it sort of echoed what we had already said. If this is used to facilitate an angle for Jack Perry's return, then that's sort of like, if the intent is to embarrass CM Punk, which you got to think that it probably is
to some degree, yeah.
It doesn't feel like, I'll be honest with you, it doesn't feel like what Jack Perry's side of things, what Brian Alvarez has said his side is, differs that much from CM Punk's side, because Punk said, "I choked him a little." Now, is he going to say he easily escaped my chokehold? Probably not. But like the actual sequence of events, did Punk maybe omit some things that, he was not very effective in doing vis-a-vis actually choking Jack Perry?
Or connecting on a punch.
Right. Maybe. But like we've seen that in the UFC before with CM Punk. And that's fine. If you put him and Jack Perry in an octagon together, or as I saw the other day on this bare knuckle boxing channel that I found on Samsung TV, a triangle ring, who's going to win that match? I don't know. CM Punk seems fairly confident he'd be able to beat him, but CM Punk is old and Jack Perry's young. I don't know. I don't know who I'd put money on.
I don't know. But yeah, what
points on.
It
depends.
Sorry,
what's the intent? Is the intent to embarrass CM Punk? Is this going to do that? I don't know. Is the intent to forward your stories in wrestling, which is what they should be doing? Then I hope it does. If they can frame it that way, then I guess to a degree, mission of what the mission should be accomplished. But if they're simply looking to embarrass CM Punk, and it's going to be the Young Bucks saying, "Look at this idiot right here," that's going to backfire, because that's just cringy. That's just That's just embarrassment right there.
Now, if the footage show Jack Perry hitting a haymaker on CM Punk and knocking him on his rear end, that's something else.
Well, even that is like a scuffle. If it's CM Punk, he falls, he slips on a banana that Eddie Kingston left because he's trying to, he's like, "Hey, I'm trying to be healthy over here."
No
he
more
leaves
Reese's
the banana.
Pie for Eddie, yeah.
No more Reese's Pie. Punk trips, and then explosive diarrhea happens, and then he tries to get up and he slips in it.
That's embarrassing.
Right.
That's
anything short of that, I'm not going to feel bad for the guy.
If it's simply a situation where they're trying to maybe use this as a springboard to bring Jack Perry back to AEW, and from AEW or from Tony Khan's perspective, a welcome side effect of doing that is maybe contesting the narrative that CM Punk put out there on MMA hours about what happened backstage. I guess maybe Tony Khan's idea, I'm trying to speculate here, is the way Punk framed it on MMA hours. It made it seem like nothing I did backstage lined up with the reasoning behind the firing. Mm-hmm. Because how many times in wrestling has there been a little scuffle backstage? It's broken up. People move on. You know, and that's kind of how Punk described it.
Yeah.
Apart from the part where he said, I quit. But in terms of the actual altercation itself, he went up to Perry, said, we got a problem. I mean, Punk's accounting makes it sound a little different than what Jack Perry was in terms of the response. Choke got put on. It was broken up pretty quickly. You know, historically in wrestling, that stuff happens. And assuming no one pulls a knife on somebody else, people tend to move on pretty quickly. In this case, since Punk was fired, you wouldn't think if what we're going to see tonight aligned even 65% with what Punk had to say in MMA Hours, there's absolutely no reason to show it.
Well, okay, here's the one situation, and I hope this is the direction they go in. I'm fantasy booking this now. Here's the one thing that I think they could do with this footage. The Young Bucks come out. I don't know if they're going to, I'm assuming they're going to tape this backstage. It's probably already taped. They're going to narrate it, right?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
So they put out this footage, however they're going to put it out with them narrating it. Somehow, some way, maybe they're in the ring to cut a promo or something. I don't know. Maybe they come out and they introduce it and it just shows on the Tron.
It'd be pretty ballsy to do all this with the promo in ring and then put the footage on the Tron.
Yeah, that'd be horrible. But if they come out and they say, hey, we put together this thing for you, and I don't know what their motivation would be. They run it. That brings out Jack Perry. He's been calling himself the scapegoat. And if that footage shows that he came back and he was the victim of an attack and he was scapegoated, hey, you've got yourself some story right there.
1,000%. And how that relates to the Young Bucks match coming up against FTR. They can bring FTR in saying, all right, hold on. We know Phil.
Yeah.
It's a little more complicated than as it's being shown up there. Something like that. But here's the thing. The way... The point I was trying to make is that the footage that's shown tonight has to be dramatically different, I feel like, than Punk's account to get that point across.
Well, I think the only point that needs to be made is that Jack Perry was suspended for not for cause. Like Jack Perry was suspended for something he didn't do. He didn't initiate. There you have your story in the AEW universe, so to speak, in the story. You've got that now. In the meantime, as the Young Bucks are narrating this, you accomplish your main goal, which is to try and embarrass CM Punk. Yeah. And to your point, if it doesn't differ from his standpoint, then, like, you know, what's the point? But I guess the point would be this is Jack Perry's proof that he was suspended without good reason and he is the scapegoat.
But just getting back to the differing, I believe CM Punk at his account was he went up to Jack and said, do we have a problem? And Jack responded in a way that could be construed as confrontational. Mm-hmm. And in Jack Perry's account via Brian Alvarez, when Punk says, do we have a problem? Jack Perry says no. Mm-hmm. So, which isn't necessarily, depending on how it was delivered, confrontational.
Yeah.
So that needs to be, that's the line. If Jack Perry goes back there and Punk confronts him and Jack Perry's like, no, everything's fine.
Yeah.
And then Punk starts swinging, yes, then the scapegoat thing you're talking about, 1,000%. But if it's a situation where Jack Perry walks back there and Punk says we have a problem, and Jack Perry goes, no, get out of my face, old man.
Yeah.
You know, that's a little bit different.
Yeah, I see your point of view. I mean, if they can frame this, if Jack Perry can frame this as, you know, I was set up on the scapegoat because this
absolutely
guy, left
but
the company.
The video has to match that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. So I don't know. Again, you know, Organ Grinder here says, what did he say? He said this in our Twitch chat. There's not a version of this that doesn't sound like a really bad idea. I'm kind of like on the same page with that.
Yeah, I know.
It's getting the wrong. I personally feel it's getting the wrong attention. You know, people are out there saying, shouldn't AEW be able to defend themselves? Which is so, I don't know. It's so silly to frame it that way.
They've had plenty of opportunities to put their perspective out there. Tony has repeatedly refused to comment on it. Repeatedly.
They've had chances since August. He has been asked multiple times.
Just recently he was asked about Punk's interview specifically. I think it was on the Ring of Honor media call. It's like, no, I'm not going to talk about it. So this isn't so much about defending themselves, I don't feel like.
No.
If Tony Khan can make an effort to counter CM Punk's narrative of what happened, and maybe therefore, I'm sure Tony Khan hopes to embarrass Punk a little bit, although I don't think Punk gives a shit one way or the other.
No.
And then at the same time, use this as a way to bring Jack Perry back to AEW. That's the motivation right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not, I don't think this is to defend AEW, because he's had ample opportunity to do that repeatedly and passed.
Honestly, dude, it's bizarre to me. It's like, if you have a pro wrestler, this guy had an opportunity. He's a billionaire. He's got an opportunity to make just something great, and you're obsessed with a former employee. You know, like 9 times out of 10, when somebody leaves WWE, and I kind of credit to Vince McMahon for this, they act like they quantum leap the fuck out of there, and they are never to be seen or heard from again. Like that, and that's what the audience, I'll be honest, kind of needs. It's like, okay, well, sight unseen, don't care about this guy. I care about what's on the TV right now. So I don't know. I think that the entire thing just puts a spotlight on the other company. And I just don't know that that's a good idea.
So Eric the Red here says Tony Khan's old statement claims that he felt his life was in danger and others. That's why he fired Punk. And according to Meltzer, nothing regarding that's going to be shown. It's just the Jack Perry CM Punk stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's going to be shown tonight.
Yeah.
So yeah, in that sense, it's not even addressing really why, via Tony Khan's own statement regarding the matter, why Punk was fired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's simply to counter the narrative that CM Punk put out there on the MMA Hours, and they're going to kind of wrap that in storyline, and that's going to be the motivation to get it out there. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't know. I feel embarrassed that we're even.
Hey man, we filled up almost 20 minutes. We actually got 924 people watching right now. So.
Oh, what's up, everybody? Hey, thumbs up. Hey, put your ones up. Might be the last time we could do it. If you're here for our NXT review, the people are coming back in droves just to hear us talk NXT. I'm sure that I could have just put Trick on the thumbnail. Didn't even need the all-in stuff. But yeah, we're going to talk about NXT here in a second. No, I wasn't saying I'm embarrassed for talking about it. I'm not, because it's what everybody's talking about right now, and that's what we do.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I like watching people in their real life backs. I don't know that I want to see. I felt awkward watching Riddle and Goldberg backstage.
I know.
And that was fairly comical because Goldberg came off like a dork.
Yeah.
And it's like, really? With Matt, you can't verbally spar with Matt Riddle? Like, you can't match wits with Matt Riddle? Dude, come on, man. Get over yourself.
I know.
So I don't know, man.
We got a super chat here from Blake. Says, I legitimately think this footage is going to be an old nothing burger.
I feel like it probably will be too.
I just don't think it'll be too drastically different from what Punk said to have the intended effect.
There's going to be like a bunch of people in the foreground.
It's going to be all shaky and a bunch of people there. And you won't be able to make out what's happening. And it's like, all right, I guess, sure, maybe CM Punk through, but I couldn't tell because of all the motion blur from the camera moving around and people standing in the way trying to break shit up.
Yeah, Brandon Cutler's big head in the foreground.
Yeah, like how are we supposed to tell what's going on even?
Yeah.
That's the most likely scenario is that it's so chaotic and the footage is of not the best quality that, you can attach almost any narrative to it that you want. You
know what I hope we get out of this? I hope Soft Ground Wrestling has their own backstage footage of Lord White, and I don't know who else is there. I think I saw a guy today on one of their socials with, like, on the back of his trunks it said Gleet. Which is, I don't know, is that his name? Is that, I don't know.
Isn't there a promotion in Japan? Is it a promotion or a faction in Japan called Gleet?
I don't know, but that's a great name. Because you remember what a Gleet is, right?
Yeah.
Could you Gleet?
No, I never could.
Is that a thing these days? Can you guys throw your ones up if you know what a Gleet is?
Yeah, that's very much in the late 80s and early 90s, yeah. Mr. Dope gifted a membership to the community. Thank you so much, Mr. Dope.
The Phantom Merchant says, I don't even watch North American wrestling, and this footage will have me tuning in. All right, maybe they'll do a mill.
Gleek. That's what it is. Zondo says Gleek. That's what it is. Gleek, not Gleet.
Oh, Gleek. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it's Gleek.
I couldn't Gleek.
I couldn't either.
Blake Meads here. Oh, you already got that one. Sorry. Mr. Dope also gifted a membership. Thank you, Mr. Dope. And then Eric, you already got that one too. All right.
Got it.
Look at
Got
you
them all.
ahead of the game. Well, while you are ahead of the game, I will go ahead and let the people know all about the Friendo Club setup. Before we review our NXT review, want to mention we've got bonus episodes. I know I promised Friendo Cast was going to drop yesterday. However, it's dropping today. It is all done and exported. Last night, I realized that I'd accidentally deleted the footage. Thank God. Larson, again, ahead of the game. Recorded it as well, so I got it from him and I exported it. So that's the new bonus episode, FriendoCast, is going to be going up today. Kind of a grim one. We're going to look back to the year 1632, and we see a report. We look at and react to a report of all the various ways people died in London in 1632, and we speculate on what half this stuff means. We're assuming that when somebody died of a murthering, it means they got murdered.
But we have to kind of speculate when you died by planet.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, 13 people died of planet. So, your guess is as good as mine. Anyways, that's on FriendoCast coming up later on today. It's our bonus episode. And you can get access to those bonus episodes by going to patreon.com/Stephen Larson, clicking on the Friendo Club setup. It's $5 a month. Or if you just want to stay right here at YouTube, click join and sign up to become a channel member. That's $5 a month. You get access to our weekly bonus episode called FriendoCast. You also get access to the Big Blue Predictions Challenge. Cruz is the new Big Blue Predictions champion. I'll be whipping that picture up of the Big Blue Championship very, very soon around Cruz's waist or shoulder. And also you get access to the question threads that we do at the end of every recap of ours. So it's a great way to help support Going In Raw. We've also got a goal for subscriptions, and we beat the last palindrome, which was 201-102, and we're on the road to 202.
202,202.
That's the next one. So that's exciting. And help us get there. If you're watching us for the first time, or if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notify bell. We're live 5 times a week. This Friday is sort of a maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We got to talk about something because we already did we did Wrestlemania, and so we might change things on Friday. We might not go live, but typical weeks, 5 a week, Monday through Friday, live at 11 a.m.
Yeah, pay-per-view weeks is depending on what's going on and whatnot. We'll get 5 podcasts in, and we'll be live for all of them. You know what I mean?
Correct.
I guess that's the point. Usually Monday through Friday, but pay-per-view weeks might be a little different.
Yeah.
Depending on what's going on in the world of wrestling. Steve.
Yeah.
You ready to talk NXT? You said in the pre-show, our kickoff show here on Twitch, that you had a bit of, I don't know if epiphany is the right word, but we'll dub it so, where in the past you've always had something about NXT that didn't exactly vibe with you, and you weren't sure how to articulate it or what exactly it was. It was something kind of nebulous. But then light bulb went off last night or this morning while watching it. But you didn't tell me what that was. So please inform me, inform the friendos.
So this is my little essay on why I realized NXT ain't my thing. And we will watch it every week. And because there is value to be had there, I think the most interesting thing for me right now, to sort of start off on a positive note, the most interesting thing for me right now is watching the wrestlers who they sign develop into really good pro wrestlers, specifically in their women's division. I've noticed that Kalani Jordan, Fallon Henley.
Yeah.
Wait, who's the country girl? Fallon
Henley.
Yeah. In the women's division, some of the wrestlers who came up in that from 2021 and on have developed very quickly in the ring. And it's kind of interesting that they're doing a pretty good job with these tryouts, scouting people who might be a little bit more inherently taking to pro wrestling, like Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah.
Great example. Somebody who, my goodness, she has come along really well in the ring.
Really fast, too.
Because I like to watch good wrestling. And I don't watch, green wrestlers not know how to wrestle. So I've been really impressed by that. And you and I have always said that the present NXT is kind of a presentation issue, or at least when it comes to what we like in our pro wrestling. And, blame it on the venue, on the lighting, the cinematography, what have you. And I finally pegged it last night. And it was during the segment with Oh, who wears the beauty queen sash thing?
Oh, Ariana Grace.
There you go. That's what I thought it was, but I didn't want to misspeak. Ariana Grace. She was talking to Sol Ruca, and I saw in that moment two very different promo performances. Mm-hmm. And one of those promo performances is kind of the standard in NXT. And it's this sitcom-y approach to acting, which kills any and all drama for me within NXT. And it kind of permeates the entire company. NXT is presented in such a comical, theatrical way, as opposed to what the Black and Gold was, which was more of a dramatic theatrical presentation. Let's face it, you get a camera, you have a bunch of people sort of act out their scenes, and it's a theatrical thing. It reminds me of the theater, right? It's not like they have over-the-shoulder shots or close-ups. It's all medium, cameras right here, kind of follows people if they're going to drift in and out of frame, but by and large, it's just staged, right?
Yeah.
The acting, the promo stuff, 9 times out of 10 comes off as so sitcom-y. And that takes me out of the idea that these people are like fighters. Now, Black and Gold might have been a little too much on the, we're all here to be badasses. We're all here to be mean. We're all here to be. And that was, I remember it was a criticism that you, and I agreed with it, that you levied at NXT towards the waning days of Black and Gold, where everybody just sort of came in and they were badass. They're all like Timothy Thatcher, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now it's kind of, it reminds me, and it clicked for me this morning, it reminds me of New Era WWF, where everybody was kind of a sitcom-y thing. And some of them these days even have vocational gimmicks. Like yesterday, you and I were figuring out, what the hell is Tony D? He's a mob boss, but he wrestles? Where are his priorities?
Yes.
What is this criminal organization that he's running? Because we've known he's killed people. Yeah. But why is he wrestling? Why is he challenging somebody for the title when, like, he could just put a hit out on Ilia and then, you know, run the place himself if he's a real crime boss?
Yeah.
And so that's my main. And when I saw Ariana Grace and Sol Ruca in this promo together backstage, and Ariana Grace is doing her most cheesy, corny, sitcom-y acting routine, and Sol Ruca, on the other hand, I don't think she's got that in her. She comes off as incredibly genuine. And so I gravitate towards her, but she's kind of the outlier. Yeah. Not a lot of people come off as like, hey, I'm just sort of being myself and I'm actually acting and I'm actually doing a decent job acting, but I'm not doing it in this over-the-top sitcom-y promo way. And I feel like a lot of NXT is that cheesy sitcom-y, like, you know, NXT is filmed before a live studio audience type thing. And that clicked with me. I'm like, God, that's why I don't like it, because I don't take any of these people serious because they're not acting in a way that's serious. They're doing this for like comedy's sake. So there you go.
Now, I assume you think that's an intentional move on NXT's part, correct?
I think it is, yeah. I think it's like your character is going to be this obnoxious, over-the-top, blah, 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 and portray it that way as opposed to, like, how would an actual, you know, like, how would somebody with these values actually act?
So, I like, if the idea is we're presenting NXT to appeal to a younger demographic, that makes sense, I suppose. You know, I understand us. We're old. You know, the sitcom style of acting, you know, like the 3-camera approach doesn't necessarily appeal to us. Yeah. But, you know, it might appeal to a younger demographic, especially, you know, so many influencers, whether it be on YouTube or TikTok, have this huge over the top, almost kind of sitcom-y quality to their delivery. And maybe that's part of the inspiration. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly think that it just sort of reverts back to, we're not really an acting school, but we have to do a lot of acting in NXT.
Yeah.
And so you sort of revert to like, okay, well, are you popping the 13 people in promo class watching this right now? You know, because you're able to remember your lines and you're showing some personality, as opposed to what's going to work best and keep things dramatic. Like, you look at, and I'm not asking him to do this. I'm not asking him to do anything. I'm just giving my thoughts on it.
Yeah, yeah.
When you think of New Japan, right? You've got characters in there like House of Torture who are completely ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
There are characters in New Japan that are ridiculous, but when they do their promos, they got to do them in like a press conference type setting, like a media scrum type setting. And so you have to sort of reel it up a little bit. You have to
you have to base it in reality. Yeah.
You have to base it in reality. And I think that was my thing about NXT. And look, you can say I'm wrong about it, and that's fine. But like, it's my opinion on like why it is. Like, it's not like NXT's numbers have like grown in leaps and bounds. And I'll be honest with you, like I've watched some of this stuff because I've got some Gen Z, stepkids, like Summer roams in, and it's like she's a fan of like the CW shows, and I always tease her about that. I'm like, oh, supernatural stuff. And even she, like when she's roamed in, she's like, what is this? It's like, I don't know that, because I get your point about the influencer stuff, but having watched way too much
ideas, why that could be. And a lot of people here in both YouTube and Twitch chat say they appreciate NXT because it is so different in its presentation. Than Raw, SmackDown, AEW, whatever the case may be. And I understand your point. I haven't really found, granted, I've come back to watching NXT for the last 2 weeks, so small sample size. I haven't really found that necessarily bothers me. What bothers me more, and this is a small thing, it's just the way it is. And until maybe NXT will venture out on the road, at least in small stretches after they go to the CW, it's the presentation and it's the venue. And part of it is the actual space. It's tiny. It's small. When Trick was in the ring for his promo, they lit up the whole space, and you could see to the rafters. And the place just looks, especially coming out of Stand Deliver, where they basically, they didn't quite sell out the Wells Fargo Center, but they had 15, 16,000 people in there.
Yeah.
It's such a disparity, that atmosphere in the arena, which they're not going to be able to fill basketball arenas on a weekly basis. I get it. Versus the 200 people, and probably more or less the same 200 people who are at NXT tapings every single week. You got people chanting at Lyra Valkyria, you tapped out, and she's the babyface in this feud. Like, so it seems like there's a lot more instances, and since it's such a smaller venue, it's more noticeable, where people at NXT are trying to take over the show and get things started because they're trying to pop themselves or their friends, as opposed to just getting involved in the show, I guess, from a kayfabe perspective. I'm not like lecturing people that's the only way you should engage in a wrestling show. Yeah. I'm just saying, when you have a couple of people who are trying to get noticed, essentially, on the show, it's way more noticeable when the venue is that tiny and there's so few people there, as opposed to even like a college basketball arena where it fits 1,000 people. And people are saying here, like in the chat, because we're being critical, that we dislike the show. No, I didn't dislike.
Listen, here's the thing. Don't take this shit personally.
Yeah,
we're here to review something. We're here to give our criticism.
I didn't dislike NXT.
Yeah.
I thought the wrestling across the board was all pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought the Obafemi Ivar segment was really good.
Oh, yeah. Obafemi's great.
Obafemi's great.
Yeah, Obafemi's awesome.
I feel like turning Roxanne Perez heel was the right move, because from a character perspective, she's way more interesting now.
Yeah.
And like, I've been watching a while. I don't know what the deal is with Tatum Paxley. I don't know how she fits in this whole thing, but it's like, part of it right now is since so much has changed since we watched it before, I need to get reintroduced to this world and to these characters.
And people are saying Ariana's Grace is awesome. And you know what? Chances are I will turn around on her. I will. And here's the thing, like, just because I'm not seeing it in NXT right now, coming back to it, and this is the way I sort of felt before, and honestly, so much of it with us is, I hate to break it to people, it's a business decision. If our NXT reviews did a lot better back then, we probably would have kept on doing them, but we couldn't rely on them to like float, 10,000 views for a podcast. And so, hey, we got to find a way to get to those numbers. And so you pivot. If you're a content creator, you know what I'm talking about. And so, but there was a lot of demand for it to come back, and we were reviewing Collision, and Collision wasn't doing it for us either. No. And so it's like, okay, well, you know what? We're going to go ahead and give NXT another chance. and we're going to review it because it has been getting a lot of buzz. A lot of our audience have been saying, "Hey, we want you to review NXT," and so hey, we're here, we're doing it. But I'm gonna be honest about it.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm not gonna, glaze it up just because people, because we're reviewing it. We don't only review stuff that we like. We review stuff that, I don't know, people are talking about or interested in. They did pack 16,000 plus people.
NXT has a following, yeah.
It has been getting more of a buzz.
Yeah.
And the wrestling has improved vastly in NXT.
Yeah.
Last time we were reviewing it, it was still sort of at that spot where, man, it was like, you can tell these wrestlers were not well experienced in the ring, and they were still forced to put on these, 15-minute matches, and they just weren't very good.
Yeah. And, just because we're critical about aspects of it, or maybe critical, doesn't mean we didn't enjoy the whole. There's going to be things about like we're critical of AEW all the time.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And the reason that we are not going to cover Collision going forward, at least for the time being, is that just not enough happens on the show.
We like
to
talk about story here.
Yes.
And honestly, even back when we were reviewing NXT, it was one of the more fun things to review because there's a lot of like unintentional humor there as well.
Yeah.
But I do wish that they took that opportunity, and I get it. It's WWE, it's developmental. They're preparing them for main roster. And that's because main roster, they do the thing where they have a camera there and then people fucking talk and the camera doesn't cut. And maybe that'll change. God, I hope that's one of the production changes they make.
I hope it does. But here's another potential. And part of this, I think we're going to have this conversation now in our first return episode of NXT to kind of get it all out of us. Mm-hmm. There's characters in NXT who have gimmicks, characters, whatever you want to say, that you see them in NXT and it's like, all right, this might work in NXT. How is this going to work on the main roster? Because
that's another big thing.
It's a huge. I love Dijak, love him, wildly entertaining, and he's getting away from '80s movie vigilante a little bit. Still there in the presentation, but when he goes up to metaphors like, "Hey, I really like that skit you did," being sarcastic about it.
Yeah,
he's bringing more of himself and less gimmick into it, which is a smart move.
Yeah,
but there are characters in NXT where, all right, this works here. In this atmosphere, with this production style, with this approach and this venue, I don't see how it's going to work on the main roster.
Yeah.
And that's potentially an issue if the whole point of NXT is to prepare superstars to get called up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that at all. It's like they're preparing a lot of low mid-carders.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're doing such a phenomenal job with Trick Williams, with Carmelo Hayes, Ilia. He's always great.
Obafemi's great. There's Dijak's great.
They're doing a hell of a job.
There's a lot of great talent in NXT, and anything we're saying here is not a knock against them.
Yeah.
They have all told the PC has done a really good job of developing talent.
Probably like the most impressive. That's absolutely true. The most impressive thing, I think, one of the more impressive things, I do think that the makeup of the roster is much more suited to bring in new fans. When you look at who the representation you see, the storylines that they're doing. I really liked a couple of years ago when they did the Roxanne Perez, hey, I'm having mental health issues. I like that kind of stuff, because it's like it's relatable stuff that, the like the current generation, the people they want to start tuning in now, that's sort of real issues, and it's treated with a sensibility that that is respectful, and I appreciate that stuff. I do. Definitely. And we're gonna stick around with NXT until we pivot again, which is inevitable in this world that we do. We've been doing this for 10 years, and there's going to be more pivots along the way. But yeah, I didn't think. Dang MQ says, any thoughts on Jada Parker? Jada Parker's actually one of them who comes off as genuine. Like everything I've seen, when she went viral like a couple months ago, I was like, oh, who is this person? I'm like, oh shit, wow. Like she doesn't come off of, when I think of, for example, and I think she's like turned into a decent wrestler. I've always kind of appreciated the charisma she's got, but Fallon Henley.
Mm-hmm.
When she comes out there, she always does like hey, I'm a country girl, so I'm going to do this weird thing with the body language. Like it's so theater kid, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, just dial this down like a little bit because it's so broad. It's so over the top.
Yeah.
But then when I saw like, and Sol Ruca's another example of like, she just comes off as like genuine, as like legit, as like, this is who she is, but she's placed in this world and it's not cartoony. And I love that about her, you know? So I don't know. And I felt the same way seeing Jada Parker. I think she's terrific.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess we could jump into it and any more of the things we want to discuss. I got, hey, thanks for recommending me that transcription thing, because that worked pretty darn well.
I'm glad.
So I'll keep working with it and see if I can get it perfect.
All right.
But we don't have to go through these promos verbatim. Show opened up with Roxanne Perez, the new NXT Women's Champion, coming to the ring and pretty much saying, hey, Lyra, your arm was hurt. I targeted it. I knew it was 100%. You're trying to be an honorable champion. But, you know, in Roxanne's estimation, Lyra was stupid, pathetic, embarrassing. And she says, you know, the only way I'm going to give up this title is when I get drafted to Raw or SmackDown in the draft. So enjoy seeing this while you can. This brings Lyra out. And she says, you've been champ for 2 days and you're already on your way out. So if you're too good for NXT, stay on Raw, go to SmackDown, but that title stays here. And Roxanne says, come on, Lyra. You're not even clear, because Lyra wants a rematch tonight.
Yeah.
And Roxanne says, you're not cleared. No rematch for you. And then Tatum Paxley comes out of the crowd and joins Lyra on the stage and says, Lyra may not be ready, but I am. And Lyra says, look, I love that you stick up for me, okay? But I'm sorry what I said after the match. I'm just angry. I'm good now. I'm good. Like, I'm ready to go for the match.
So, like, from what I understand, because I watched a little bit here and there, like, Tatum Paxley was like sort of like she was like, it was like a Mickey James Trish Stratus thing, I think.
Yeah, seemingly.
For Lyra Valkyria.
Yeah.
That's sort of the vibe that I got. And then she turns on her here.
Yeah. She pushes her into the ring steps. Refs come out. They take Paxley away and check on Lyra. And Roxanne goes, no title match tonight. Sorry, not sorry. This brings out Natalya. She challenges Roxanne to a title match tonight. And Roxanne says, nope, hard pass. This is my show, my title. You don't get a title shot tonight, but thanks for coming. This brings out Ava. And she says, nope, title match will happen tonight.
Yeah. I like that they moved Ava into a general manager position.
She's really good.
That's good. Yeah.
She's really good.
Yeah, going back to what you said about the crowd, I sort of echo that same sentiment. And I do think it's like, but here's the thing, like, Black and Gold was getting there too with Full Sail. You know what I mean?
It was.
Like,
it was.
we would
At least that venue was a
complain
little bit larger. So when people were trying to, say take over the show, be the center of attention, whatever, it was noticeable. Maybe not quite as much, but no, I understand. The sentiment's the same though. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Then earlier in the day, Trick Williams arrives at the Performance Center. They did a drone shot of him arriving, and then the drone flies around the PC, and then you see Bron and Baron.
Yeah, I like that. Drone shots are kind of overdone, and they're not the most. They're so robotic.
Yeah.
But I kind of enjoyed, there's I think there was little Easter eggs in it, like various superstars talking to each other and stuff, and it's like, oh, I kind of like that.
They're presenting a world for us to get immersed in.
Yeah, and it's not the most dynamic looking shot in the world.
No, but they're trying.
They're trying. I can appreciate the effort. Exactly. I like this. So everybody's pointing out. Grayson Waller had this tweet. He said, later today, I'm going to share exclusive security camera footage of myself and Theory beating up the entire WWE locker room backstage. It's time the world knows how tough the SmackDown Tag Champs really are.
That's funny.
Oh, man. Oh, God.
So then we get a quick shot from NXT Anonymous of Nathan Frazier and Axiom talking to Ava about getting a tag title rematch, which is official for the show. And then we get an interview with Nathan Frazier and Axiom. And pretty much is what's set up here is that if they win, they're champs. They stay together as a team. If they lose, they go their separate ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like, we brought together by friendship, but also because of our rivalry. And so if we're not winning the titles tonight, really no point in staying together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're a hell of a tag team.
They're really good.
It's a good thing they won.
Yes,
because
more of them.
I like them as a tag team. Yeah. Yeah. I like
Yeah.
that you manifested that one too, but
All the way back in January.
yeah, man, you did well with that one.
Now they got to stay champs for the rest of the year, so at least get that prediction right. Which I don't
That's
really
possible.
see that happening. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's 8 months.
Yeah.
That's a long time to be tag champs.
You know what I really hope? What's their last premium live event of the year?
Oh,
so they've got
NXT?
New Year's Evil, but that's right after the New Year.
Yeah, I guess it would be
If they have one in December.
Survivor Series?
Oh, Survivor Series weekend?
Deadline
Yeah,
says
probably.
bear winning. Okay, deadline.
Deadline?
Yeah.
I hope they lose it at Deadline.
Oh, man.
I don't know why I literally just
Rude.
wanted to Yeah, I know, exactly.
Rude.
Anyways, I'll move on from that. So Chase U. Again, and Chase U, I was thinking, I'm like, okay, Chase U, combine them with Alpha Academy when they get to main roster, and I think you're good. They're the comedy act. But
Chase
again,
Academy, yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah. So, and this is one of those stagey theatrical thing anyways. So Chase says, before their big tag team match against... The thing that I like about Andre Chase, though, is his comedic delivery is actually really good. It's not sitcom-y. It's like kind of like, I don't know. It's like not deadpan either. But he's so good at what he does. He's got a great comedic face,
Yeah.
Anyways, he says before their big tag team match tonight against Kiana James and Izzy Dame, I would first like to thank both Fallon Henley and Kalani Jordan for their help in Stand and Deliver and present them with honorary Chase University degrees. So Thea Hale runs in.
Hold on, Steve. Put up you. Might be the last time we get to do it.
That's not even like the close.
No,
to
Chase,
the
you might be
last
going
time.
out of business.
There's so many. No, they're fine. They're good.
Aren't they in financial troubles?
No, well, he made that bet. I think they're fine. They sold a bunch of calendars. Aren't they fine?
Oh, that's right. That's right. Sorry.
I think they're good. Anyways, so Thea Hale runs in, and JC Jane walks in, says, "Don't worry, I'm not here to fight today. Actually, I've been doing a little bit of thinking. I came to ask the professor." She reveals that Andre Chase had placed a big bet on behalf of the university for Thea Hale to win her NXT title match back whenever that happened.
Yeah.
And
Great
she
American
lost
Bash.
that match. Yeah. And that was like, that was the big scandal, I guess. And so he's like, she's calling him out. And he has to then explain to Thea, he's like, listen, I bet on you, before the university. And she didn't like that. And she runs off.
Yeah.
So like maybe just keep JC Jane out of the class, just why are you in here?
But if it's, I guess so. Is it a public institution? No, you'd think it's a private school.
It's a private school. Yeah. You need a key card to get in.
Yeah. So then we got Izzy Dame and Kiana James taking on Kalani Jordan and Fallon Henley. This is the result Steve was hoping for at Stand Deliver. Izzy Dame.
Yeah,
Kiana
this
James
happened a
getting the win.
couple of times. They screwed
Tag
me.
match too, a tag title match too. I know.
They screwed me.
So the finish here saw Kalani get she gets in the ring. He's looking for a DDT on Izzy. Izzy blocks that and looks to hit Kalani with a huge boot, but then Fallon pushes Kalani Jordan out of the way. She eats the boot, and then Kiana James follows with the 401k to get the win.
Do we know? Well, I guess I'm
Guessing the answer is going to be no
chat.
before you even ask her the question.
I'm asking chat, not necessarily you.
Oh, okay.
Is Kiana James still a developer? Does she actively develop properties like she used to back when we were watching? That I want chat to let me know. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, her finisher's got the same name.
She was also doing the thing when they came back from commercial, or they had already made their entrance, and she was doing I'm sassy. Look at my head movements. I'm sassy.
People are saying no. She's moved on.
No,
from
she
that.
doesn't do development anymore. She moved on from that. What does she do?
What's
Just
her current business venture then?
Just bad guy, I guess.
Well, I mean,
And her assistant's gone. Really? Her paralegal's gone. What a bummer.
then we got Javon Evans video package. He's got his NXT TV debut during this episode.
This guy is awesome. Oh my god.
Yeah, he's good.
I watched a DPW match with him and some
Jay Malachi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
he was former champ in DPW, wasn't he?
Maybe, probably. I don't know. Love those dudes.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, he's really
that
good.
Dude. He's like
really
moving wrestling ahead, man. That's crazy.
So then after that video package, we cut backstage, and OTM is watching the video package, and Scripps is like, he's been here, a day or something like that. Mm-hmm. And he's already, he said, because one of the things that Javon Evans mentioned in this video package is that he's bouncy.
He's bouncy.
It's bouncy. Scripps says, says he's bouncy. He's about to get bounced. And Jada Parker says, looks like there could be 2 dubs tonight for OTM. One for you and one for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Didn't quite work out that way for Scripps, though.
And then we had no quarter catch crew, and without Drew Gulak.
Apparently his name was removed from the Tron, too.
We never really talked about that, but Ronda Rousey had accused him of like pulling on her drawstring as evidence of the culture of WWE being. And we never really got into it. We never really talked about that. He issued a bizarre apology that sounded more like a Larry David episode than anything.
Yeah, that was strange.
And I don't know how to, I honestly, like, there's a lot of parts there. I don't know how to take all that. So I felt comfortable not really talking about it. Because, like, it's not like, Ronda Rousey is not the most credible person in the world. But when there are accusations that seem serious, you want to give them the benefit of the doubt to a degree. But then again, anybody who has any doubts about what happened at Sandy Hook, that's not really somebody that's serious to me. But then Drew Gulak issued this completely unserious, weird apology. Yeah. And it's like, well, what is this about? So the whole thing just seemed weird. And so it's like, I don't really know.
Yeah.
No,
I understand.
You know what I mean?
I understand.
Like, where did you sort of land on that? It's the same area of ambiguity, or?
I mean, because she mentioned that on a News Nation interview or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. I mean, it's entirely possible. It's entirely possible that happened.
Yeah, it didn't seem like something that was.
It didn't seem like anything that was fabricated or made up. Absolutely not.
Right?
It's
yeah.
I don't believe it was whatsoever.
Just because she has a history of being kind of a shitty person when it comes to the Sandy Hook stuff doesn't mean that she's making this up, I guess is my point.
Yes. And then, so she said her what happened, and I believed her. And then, Gulak with his tweet at least corroborated the portion of her story that the drawstring was grabbed or pulled. And his apology, he said, it was an accident. He was going to shake her hand.
It was
going to shake her hand and accidentally touched the drawstring.
Which, weird shit happens to people sometimes. Like, that was just a bizarre. It's like, yeah, I don't know, man. I couldn't wrap my head. Sometimes, honestly, because people ask us our opinions. I'm like, sometimes I just can't wrap my head around something.
I know.
So I kind of don't have an opinion on this particular thing,
I understand that, Yeah. Anyways, it looks like Drew Gulak's going to be off TV for a while nonetheless. So.
That does seem to be the case.
So. Ronda's point, not just that the drawstring was touched, but that no one batted an eye about it, even though she, at the moment seemingly pointed it out and be like, hey, what's the deal with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that she went and confronted Drew Gulak and he was backpedaling immediately on it. So.
Yeah, and people will bring up all sorts of like the video of like on TV of her just wrecking the guy left and right.
Yeah,
and it's like, boy, that kind of lines up.
Yeah, exactly. So we got Damon Kemp, Charlie Dempsey, and Miles Bourne, Baby Orton.
Honestly, when people were calling him that, I was like, oh, it's actually a son? No,
they're not related at all.
Looks exactly like
he looks like, yeah.
I also didn't know he's deaf, or he's partially deaf.
I didn't know that either until someone mentioned it to us. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's
so
great.
Cool that he could succeed to that. I love that
fantastic.
kind of shit, man. I love that kind of shit.
Same. So then, Kemp's
I read like a whole article on him about how he was already like 2 years old learning how to lip sync. Lip read.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Man.
Yeah. So Kemp's asking Dempsey how Bloodsport went, which is cool. They mentioned Bloodsport on NXT. And Dempsey says, yeah, this past weekend, it was something else. No ropes, knockouts or submissions only. Some of the toughest fight I've ever seen. He's like, you see this shiner, this black eye? It didn't stop me from getting the win. He says, the new no quarter catch crew holds itself to a certain standard. None of us are exempt from it. And so,
do you think that was a double meaning right there?
Could be.
Probably.
Could be.
Not very subtle, to be honest.
Not very subtle, nope. So then we got Stacks. We got Luca, the lawyer.
The lawyer.
And Rizzo? Is that her name? I believe that's her last name.
Oh, God. Why don't throw me questions?
I mean, come on. You got to pay attention to this stuff. So anyways, we're watching it. Pay attention.
Rizzo?
I'm trying to get these transcriptions right and all this stuff. Yes, Rizzo. Thank you, John.
Adriana Rizzo.
There we go. We're learning the characters still. There's a lot of new people in NXT since we watched last.
Bro, there are so many faces. I'm like, who in the fuck is this person?
A lot. So
I like her though. I think I saw her like in a segment when she first joined up with Tony D's crew, and I'm like, oh man, she's got charisma.
Yeah.
Times 1,000. You know, yeah, she's cool.
So Luca, the lawyer, walks up and says, "Tony's not here. He's at Del Boca Vista."
Del Boca Vista.
And so it looks like no quarter catch crews have to wait to get their answer about something. I don't know what that is. And Stacks says, you guys should consider yourself a couple of tough guys. Oh, you guys do consider yourself a couple of tough guys, but you don't want to do the work yourself. So you don't want to get your hands dirty. And Dempsey says, watch your mouth. A lot of arguments happen, and then a match is made for later on in the show.
I love Dempsey as sort of like the leader of this new quarter catch crew. That's a mouthful.
Been the leader the whole time.
Yeah, I agree. I love that bit. I did see that bit with him and his dad.
Yeah,
when he said, "I could defend this better than you ever could." That was awesome.
That was hecka good.
Anyways, after that we had Scripps versus Javon Evans. This was rad, man. This shit is so cool.
Okay, hold on. Quick break here. Brian Danielson just tweeted, should be about Dynamite tonight. Should be a killer show, but this iteration of the Young Bucks is insufferable. Dax and Cash, please tell me you're going to show up and punch these guys in the face.
All right, he's trying to sell the story aspect of it, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, this was cool. Lots of just really weird. I love when somebody comes around and just finds new ways to interact with the wrestling ring, you know? And that's Javon Evans, like times 1,000. This guy was probably, I don't know, as a kid doing all sorts of crazy shit, like on a trampoline or something, you know? Yeah. Or like taking his action figures and making him do weird shit. And he's like, I want to do this one day.
Yeah.
And it's like, it makes the whole space just be brand new, you know? I love it.
That cutter he did, that springboard cutter, which we see people do, but the air he got on it.
Yeah.
His body control midair or something else.
Yeah.
And then his finisher is this tornado. Mm-hmm. That's absolutely insane.
It is, yeah. Yeah.
So he gets the win on Scripps. It's a fun match. Haven't really seen much of
Scripps has gotten a lot better too.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of Scripps obviously in a while. And so Javon Evans gets out of the ring after he gets the win before OTM can get in there and lay him out.
What do you think about the ceiling / longevity of the GTA branding of Out the Mud, OTM?
Of OTM?
Yeah. I love them as a crew. I think they're great as a crew.
Yeah, but the branding being so specific to... You know what? It might benefit them. There's the sixth game coming out sometime, you know. So it could benefit them in that respect. I don't know.
Yeah.
This next bit was weird. So Kelly Kincaid's in the makeup chair, and like I don't know if she's practicing lines on a promo call or something to talk about live events. And so she sees Ridge Holland, who's supposed to be retired, but then lays out Joe Gacy as Stand Deliver. She walks up to him and is like, "What's going on?" He goes, "No, everything's fine." And she says, "Well, what happened to Stand Deliver? You laid out Joe Gacy with the chair, or just laid him out, sorry." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know. I got to go apologize to him, though, because I just blacked out." And in the background, it's like Joe Gacy emerges from a couple curtains or something like that. Yeah.
"Hey, Ridge."
He goes, "Hey, man. It's okay. I understand. I mean, you went from being a superstar inside the ring to the at the biggest show of the year to being a panelist, not inside the ring. I mean, I understand that's got to mess with your head, right? So Rich storms off and he walks up to the LWO and they're like, we're not buying your apology tour.
Talking about bad acting, these guys.
And so he walks past him and leaves, and they're trying to give chase. And so when the door closes behind Ridge, it smashes Cruz del Toro's hand, and he's on the ground selling it like it's all busted up. And I'm like, is Ridge's character now that he has these blackouts, but also he's accident prone?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing, because I was like, okay, attacking Joe Gacy's not an accident. Is it just he's a fuck up? I think it's like he's sort of an intentional and unintentional fuck up. Seemingly. Because he attacks Joe Gacy, and that's intentional. But then he's like, he regrets it. He's like, oh man, I gotta go apologize. Like I did a bad thing. And then he runs to LWO and they're like giving him shit. They're like, we don't believe it. Yeah. And then he like shoulder checks, the Cruz, and he just leaves, and they're gonna chase him. And somehow Cruz's hand gets jammed up in the door, and they're blaming Ridge. And Ridge, he's like, oh no, what did I do? And it's like, well, you left.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they were getting on your nerves. You shoulder checked him. Hey, don't mess with me. I'm going to mess you up. But then he's like all regretful about it. It's bizarre.
It is.
And yeah, I think, I don't know. I guess they're just sort of retconning Ridge's whole history of like, there was a time where he blew out both of his legs big time.
Yeah.
There's obviously the Big E thing, which is awful.
And there was the match with Pretty Deadly where Alfred separated his shoulder.
Yeah.
So Cassius here says Ridge's character is he keeps hurting people without meaning it one way or the other, and it's really messing him up.
Maggie says he's Eugene from Hey Arnold. I'm a little too old for that reference. That's where the line is sort of drawn, Maggie.
Yeah, I don't get that reference.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious though.
It's interesting especially for a guy who
there's a black cloud over him.
Yeah,
that's his thing.
Between his own injuries and injuries or near injuries people have, suffered during matches with him. That's an interesting take with the character. Maybe it's cathartic in a way. I don't know.
It is. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking too. It's bizarre they're doing this. It's like. It'd be kind of funny so Maggie says Eugene was the fuck up jinx and always stayed getting hurt. Okay, that makes sense.
All right, that makes sense then.
It'd be great if like at some point you're in the parking lot and he's getting out of his car and there's all sorts of dents on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Cassius says he also kayfabed injured Ilia. They stopped.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Which bugs me too. Because it's like, okay, wait a second. Is this a performance?
Yeah.
Or is this an actual fight? Because if it's a fight, you should be NXT champion at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Then we got Natalya taking on Roxanne Perez. It was a good match.
Yeah, this was a good one.
It was really good. And then at one point, Natalya locks on a sharpshooter. Perez gets the bottom rope to break the hold, rolls out of the ring. Natalya follows her to the floor, slaps Roxanne Perez. Roxanne gets back in the ring and distracts the ref. And while that's happening, Lola Vice runs down and kicks Natalya in the leg. So then Natalya rolls back in the ring. Roxanne hits her with pop rocks to get the win. But after this, later on, we see Natalya attack Lola Vice. So we're going to get that match at some point. That should be good too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then we're backstage. Braun Breaker's, is warming up. Baron walks up to him and says, you ready? Says, hey, we got this match against Frazier and Axiom. They couldn't get it done Saturday. And Braun says, yep, they're not getting it done tonight. And says, you love hanging out with me. Admit it. And Corbin says, no, I'll never do that. You would miss. No, that doesn't seem right. You got to admit something that I was right. And then Braun says, about what? And Corbin says, stand, deliver, your streak, that's dead now. Common denominator is me. So admit it. Us together is a good thing. You were reluctant. You didn't want to do it. Look at us. Admit it's good. And Braun says, all right, so I'm not going to admit it because you want me to do it.
Yeah,
and then they get goofy.
Yeah, he leaves and he comes back and he slaps him. And Corbin's like, stop slapping me. They've got excellent chemistry.
They do. They really do.
They've got really good chemistry. I don't know. I mean, obviously, Braun's going to SmackDown. He said his goodbyes at the end of the episode, and he's heading to SmackDown or maybe Raw. I'm still.
No, he signed with SmackDown.
No. I know. We got a draft coming up.
Yeah. That'd be weird if someone signed with the brand for a month and a half and then gets drafted to the other brand. That'd be strange.
Okay, right. Like, what is the nature of these contracts when they sign to a Raw or SmackDown?
Well, Steve, here's the thing. It's not a real contract. It's a storyline. It's a piece of paper. It's about as valuable as, I don't know, something that's not worth anything. You know what I mean? So
yeah. This is napkin right here.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I get it. I'm talking about in the universe. Like, how do these contracts work?
So, Steve, even in the universe, it seems like they're about as valuable as that napkin there you probably used to wipe your hands after you ate your glizzies over the weekend.
Because like Andrade signs to Raw, and then he's in the office with everybody, and Pierce or Aldis.
Oh yeah, Aldis like, you better hope I don't draft him. I was like, well, what the heck?
He just signed an exclusive.
I know.
Does that not get you like all the way through the next draft? Maybe
you'd think so. Anyways. So then we get a Lola Vice interview, and she says, I'm sick and tired of waiting for opportunities. I'm making my own. I got my eyes everywhere. I see the Women's Championship, and I can't wait for the Women's North American Championship. And then she gets attacked by Natalya.
Hey, Lola Vice is good, though.
Yeah, she is.
I like her. After that, we had No Quarter Catch Crew versus Stacks and NXT Lawyer. This was good stuff. They're all good. I'm glad that Damon Kemp has found a thing. That's good.
Me too. So Stacks and Luca, NXT Lawyer, get the win here. Dempsey kept on trying to interfere on behalf of the No Quarter Catch Crew, and then at one point Luca hip tosses him into the ring, so no more interference from Charlie Dempsey, and then Luca and Stacks hit Kemp with basically a shatter machine to get the win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. After that, we had a recap of the announcement of the North American title, the Women's North American title. Then we have an Obafemi promo. Crowd loves him. He came back down in his best dad gear. Had a white polo tucked into some jeans, but he makes it look amazing. He says, some things in life are just inevitable. Going to stand and deliver, I just didn't believe. I knew that I was going to retain my North American Championship, and I knew it was going to be the genesis of my rule over this division. And I was glad to find out that I was proven correct. Nobody can deny how impressive Josh Briggs and Dijak are, but that means my victory over those two titans established me at the top of the mountain that nobody can climb. 17,000 people witnessed my power, every blow, every earth-shattering slam, but the one thing I could think of, the only thing I could think of, was this very moment in this ring right now after the fact, standing in front of all of you, still North American champion. And that's not going to change for a very long time. And that is inevitable. And the guy who made his entrance next wasn't going to change that either, because Ivar showed up and he cuts a promo challenging him for the championship. Obafemi says, yeah, cool. And then Ob ends up taking a swing at Ivar. Gets blocked, hits him with a springboard shoulder tackle, picks up the North American title, holds it over at Oba, which is about as close as Ivar is going to get to that thing.
Yep.
Should be a fun match, though.
Oh, it'll be great. Yeah. Then we had the metaphor backstage, and at first, Noam, Lash, Jakar talking about what a huge success Stand to Deliver was for NXT and for themselves. But Oro Mensah sitting kind of off the side, and he's just upset about something. Mm-hmm. And they finally ask him, what are you so upset about? He's upset about Obafemi. Says he's not that great. He's not that dominant. I'm going to be the guy who ends his reign. So Dijak walks in and says, I just finished watching the show back, and I got to say that I saw that little skit you did of me, and it was awesome.
That's right.
Which one of you came up with that idea? And Noam says, it was my idea. And says, now I can see why you're so miserable all the time. They're all alone, wandering about in the dark. Let me give you some advice. You need less ratio, more sunshine. And Dijak says, that's great advice. Consider this your warning. Everybody gets one free. You won't get another.
That's right. Didn't they announce they're going to have a match next week, aren't they?
I think so.
I think I saw that somewhere. That'll be a good one. Dijak is that's the thing about Dijak. You mentioned him earlier, and because I think I brought that up to you. Like, how does this guy fit in the main roster? And
it's a conversation I think we had back, because we were still watching when he made his debut as his character.
Yeah. And now that he's just sort of like Dijak, but kind of in a leather coat,
it works better.
Dijak is just, I think he's just that guy that's like, you don't have to figure him out for main roster. You just put him there. He's going to have phenomenal matches. He's going to be Dijak.
Yeah.
Just like he did in NXT. Like, people are so into him.
Yeah. Maybe here's a thought. That this isn't the case necessarily for Dijak, but for some of the wrestlers with far less experience. if they say, come in here and craft a character. It can be gimmicky. It could be a vocation, whatever. Learn that character. Once you know that character, then you can start branching off.
Yeah.
So at least when you're starting, you have your character has a basis. You
got something to chew on, and
you got something to work with. Yes, and then from there you can expand. Maybe.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, that's a good point.
And maybe because that seems to be the case with Dijak, he came in very much as one thing.
Yeah.
And then, while we haven't been watching NXT, I've been following along on, social media clips and stuff. And I don't think his character, as it originally debuted in NXT, would attack a tree. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He sort of shed the superficialities of the gimmick, and what emerges is your informed character, who you are.
Exactly. So after that, we had Jada Parker taking on Brinley Reese. Jada Parker gets the win here. Running hip attack is her finisher. Not a long match, but it was solid. It was pretty good.
Yeah, no, I like Jada Parker.
Yeah.
Brinley Reese seemed cool too.
Yeah.
It was a cool match. After that, we had the segment I referred to earlier, and everybody came to Ariana Grace's defense. Sorry, didn't mean to offend.
And I understand your perspective, but that's just Ariana Grace's character. I believe is that she is very over the top.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sure, she's great. So she says she's talking to Sol Ruka about. She's like, it's a drive-by while Parker turning things around tonight for OTM.
I don't know if that's what she said. I just copied and pasted from what the transcription thing said.
At this point, you're like, I'm sure it's good enough. So, anyways, they're talking about.
Oh, sorry, no. This first line here is actually from commentary coming out of that match. Sorry, she comes in mid-sentence saying, "And your hair, blah 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 blah."
So, anyways, she's talking about how she wants at the North American Championship. Sol's like, I got dibs on that, and then she leaves. Ariana Grace leaves because she's like, oh, you want in on that? Boo, you.
And she's then, I got a phone call. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Lola Vice shows up and she's cursing Natalya's name. And Sol says, Sol Ruka says, I get that you're frustrated, but Natalya did beat you. I mean, she is the boat. You should have known that she was going to come for payback since you were the one that cost her NXT Women's Championship. Literally anybody here would. Lola says, I don't know what beach hole you crawled out of, but you go back there. A lot has changed since you've been gone, Sol Ruka.
Yeah. Then we got the tag title match, Frazier and Axiom taking on the War Dogs.
Yeah, man.
Was that their name? No. Wolf Dogs.
Wolf Dogs,
sorry.
Wolf
Dogs. War Dogs, Bullet Club?
Yes, Bullet Club. Yeah, they've got...
Wolf Dogs. That makes more sense. It's the Bullet Club War Dogs, yeah.
What's Maloney's name? Driller. What a
Driller
great name.
Yeah.
Drilla Maloney.
Yeah, it's a good name.
Sol Ruka. Drilla Maloney. I'll buy you some gum. I'll teach you how to chew it.
It's a really fun match. They've had two really awesome tag matches in 4 days, something like that. Because the match at Stand Deliver is really good. This time, though, Axiom and Nathan Frazier get the win. The finish saw Frazier leapfrog a spear from Braun, and then Braun almost runs in the Baron. He stops. He goes, are you all right? You good? Well, then Nathan Frazier drop kicks Braun into Baron, and then Axiom, you just see him jump in the frame with the golden ratio onto Baron Corbin. Frazier tags in, hits Corbin with the Phoenix Splash to get the win. They're celebrating with their titles. They get attacked by Final Testament. And AOP hit him with a Super Collider, pick up the tag titles, and hold them over Axiom and Nathan Frazier. It's entirely possible that Frazier and Axiom don't even get out of this month as tag champs.
Oh, AOP's not getting those tag titles.
I don't know, man.
Nah, dude. No. Axiom and Nathan Frazier beating those big dudes. Yeah, this is a great question. John Chambers says, where's Hank and Frank? Where's Frank Ledger and Hank was it Hank Walker?
Hank Walker and
Frank Ledger.
Yeah.
It's not Frank Ledger, but that's what we called him.
We called them Hank and Frank.
Hey.
Nowhere to be found.
It's tax season. That's why. It's tax season.
It is tax season. That's right. That is.
Frank Ledger.
Then after that, we had Trick Williams come to the ring. He talks about what a success Stand Deliver was, not just for himself, but for NXT. And he says, I couldn't be where I am without one man, and that's Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo is him. But
they're on level up? Everybody's saying they're on level up.
What?
Frank and Hank are on level up now?
Man.
That's
demotion.
Remember when Hank would just wear his, like, oh, I just showed up here.
Business casual, I know. I know. His khakis and a button-up on. You take the button-up off. So anyways, Trick says, yeah, Melo is him. So I had to show the world, show him exactly who I am. Now let's talk about it. He says Bayley got her title at Mania. Cody finished his story. And as I was coming back from Orlando, I couldn't help but think, if I want to take it to the next level, to be the man around here, I need to slay the Mad Dragon for the NXT title. So Ilia, come on out. We can talk about it. Ilia comes out, puts over Trick a bunch, says, you're exactly what this brand needs, right? And Trick says, I think what this brand needs is Trick versus Ilia for the title. And Ilia says, I know how you're feeling right now. You're feeling full of yourself as you should be. You're feeling like you're on top of the world, the leader of a hungry locker room. I see it in your eyes. You want another shot at my title? But my answer is no.
No.
Says, you had your chance and you failed, and it's time for another superstar to get that opportunity. And Trick says, I know you've been champion for a while. Who do I got to beat to get this opportunity? You need to understand that nothing or no one's going to stop me from getting my shot at that title. And Ilia just immediately changes his tune. Says, I know you're a risk taker. You battle yourself, but what is the risk you're willing to take? Here are the stakes. You get a title shot at Spring Breakin'. If you lose, though, you got to leave NXT. And so Trick ponders for a moment and says, if I can't defeat you, I don't belong here anyways. I accept your challenge.
He's like, wait a second. So if I win, I'm NXT champion. If I'm lose, I get a significant pay raise going to Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah, exactly. So they shake hands, and Ilia turns to leave, but then Melo pushes Trick into Ilia, hits Trick with the code breaker, starts punching Trick, stomps on him a little bit, picks up the NXT title, and leans towards Trick. No mic, just camera audio, and says, you're not making it to Spring Breaking because next week I'm going to beat your ass in a steel cage.
Right. I mean, at least Ilia, as John Chambers here points out, Ilia should have been like, you need to beat Christmas Mousepad.
There we go.
Where's Von Wagner? I have so many questions now. Where's Von Wagner? Where's Stone?
Last week, Von wrestled Lexus King.
What? It's like the going in Raw match of the year.
I know.
Holy shit. Why didn't they put that on the NXT after Mania? What in the world?
That's a good question. I don't know.
You'll wrestle Christmas Mousepad.
We got a super chat here from Will Chisholm. Says Ava needs to ham it up when she turns heel, calling herself the NXT final boss. Hey, that's good.
There you go. Vaughn and Stone had a falling out. What about all those great vignettes where Vaughn was at his house? Like
Vaughn is super over with the crowd though now.
As well, he should be.
Yeah.
Hey, Stone.
Hey.
Let's go out to the woods. Let's go do some.
As far as I know, nothing like that.
That was the best. Hey.
That was pretty good.
Oh, man.
Anyways, we got a Dynamite tonight. May have heard Young Bucks showing some footage from All In.
Oh, man. Do you think when are they going to do it? Are they going to do it at the main
you got to
event
open the show
segment? They're going to open the show with it?
Sure, why not?
You got to keep that to the main event.
You think so? So we're going to have Penta versus Adam. Yeah, the Cope Open will open the show probably.
Oh, yeah, Cope Open always.
Or Joe versus Dustin.
Who do you think the
Cope Open? It's not even a title match. It's an eliminator match.
Who's going to answer the Cope Open?
Penta's already been established.
Well, that's not much of an open, is it? That's just a match.
Well, I'll tell you.
Pentagon's going to lose.
Yeah, unfortunately, I know. We also got Mariah May versus Anna Jay. It'll be a win for Mariah May. Tony Storm's doing a champagne toast.
That sounds cool.
Samoa Joe versus Dustin Rhodes in the championship eliminator match. Oh, can't wait for this one, I know.
Dustin's going to finish his story. He's going to complete the tale.
We got Hook, Chris Jericho, and Shibata taking on Shane Taylor Promotions.
Hook,
I
Chris
so
Jericho.
badly want to see Shane Taylor pin Jericho. I so badly want to see it, but it ain't going to happen, I know.
Is it Shane Taylor?
Is Shane Taylor Lee Moriarty in a go-go?
Oh, yeah, Go-Go's back.
Yeah. Hey, Shane Taylor Promotions is great, man.
They need to get some. They're going to get some wins, man.
They do need to get some wins.
They need to call them great.
They're entertaining.
There you go.
You can get some wins.
There you go.
Want to answer some questions? Yeah.
Yeah, let's answer some questions. Oh boy, I'm gonna get myself.
Merle Alexander.
Merle, what a great name.
Says, fellas, thank you for cranking out the latest and best content. A couple questions for you. One, do you listen to other wrestling podcasts?
Honest to God, no. I would absolutely recommend. I love listening to whatever clips I see on Twitter of Deadlock.
Yeah.
They're hilarious. Love those guys. I don't have to, look, man, we make them. I don't have time to listen to them. So no, there's only so much wrestling I can take in my life, and talking about it 5 days a week.
Yeah.
In addition to the other channels that we have.
I used to only listen to podcasts when I go to the gym and work out. Now that I just work out in my garage, I do things between sets, so I don't really listen to podcasts anymore.
I don't. It's been a while since I've listened to a podcast.
Merle also asks, who do you see as Cody's next feud?
Well, it's not going to be Cross. AJ Styles. He graduates from LA Knight feud loss to the world
losing
title.
to Cody. Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm trying to find first some names that we have not. Here we go. Ooh, here's a good one. One Chad to rule them all says, if you were given the opportunity to design a new merch shirt for one wrestler, who would it be and what does it look like?
Wow.
I'm going to go with an NXT merch shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is kind of easy. Well, I was going to say NXT lawyer. But what's like, and I would use, what's like the most iconic lawyer movie poster? Like a movie that's based.
Oh, like a courtroom drama?
Yeah, courtroom drama. Thank you.
I mean, the first one that pops in my head is A Few Good Men, because I know it involves military, but it's basically a courtroom drama.
Yeah,
but they're all in uniform, so that doesn't really work.
Yeah.
Maybe what's his name? A John Grisham story? One of his things?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any.
People are saying 12 Angry Men, but that movie mostly takes place in the juror room, not in the courtroom.
There's no lawyers there.
So Steve's looking for lawyers. People are saying My Cousin Vinny.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is cool. Maggie says I could see you guys making a cool hairband type style design for Lexus King.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That's good. Man, I'll make a Von Wagner shirt.
Use like Def Leppard font.
I'm trying to think what I would use for a Von Wagner shirt.
Something kind of rustic.
Okay.
You know, because he likes to train in the woods.
It'd be like just his truck.
There we go. Yeah.
No context, None. Name.
No, just truck.
Von Wagner.
Just truck. With like a script font, like a 70s script font underneath that just says Von Wagner.
It says, hey. It says, hey Stone.
Hey, Stone. Says Christmas Mousepad. Phantom Pile Driver says, who is one person from each brand that would benefit most going to NXT?
Evidently the Final Testament. I was kind of surprised at that, to be honest with you.
Coming off a WrestleMania loss, I guess I wasn't that surprised. They got to do something with them.
Roy Costin says, do you feel the production has changed some since the last time you watched NXT? Not really.
Not really, no.
It looks. I'll be honest with you. It's kind of gone downhill. Like, remember they used to have like produced stuff on location places and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's because it's the NXT after Mania.
It's one episode, you know. Justin Figueroa says, last December I took my son to Deadline in Bridgeport, Connecticut. It was his first time watching wrestling live, and from that moment on, he's been hooked. I consistently hear my 5-year-old chanting, "Whoop that trick," and CM Punk. It feels since that show it's been getting hot again, and I'm here. Oh, it's not really a question to say.
Oh, come on, people. We got to we need something with a question mark, man. Chris says, who would be your foil during an overbooked ending of a WrestleMania main event? A la Cena Cena Solo.
Full soil, yeah.
Full soil.
I mean, mine's obvious who my foil is.
Oh, it'd be Hilton.
It'd be Hilton.
It'd be Hilton. Man, I don't don't know who mine would. Who's my foil? I don't know. Half the time it's my dog. Like, you think you're like your dog's like your best friend and everything, but like half the time I'm in here trying to record and she's just like now she's sleeping.
Yeah.
But like half the time it's like because she's old and growly now. She just does that for no reason. This is a great name. Bailey J. Robert. Or Bailey J.R. Obert. J.R. whatever. Who has their WrestleMania moment first? Tiffany Stratton, Saruka, or Julia?
I mean, I guess you have to give Tiffany Stratton the edge because she's on main roster.
I would think so, yeah. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
That makes most sense. Maggie says, Steve, I could be your foil. I'll give you tons of shit. Yeah, you do. I'm still reeling from the other day.
Wow.
Yeah, man. We got heat. Heather JM says, you're both new NXT stars.
Mm-hmm.
The Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels has told you that you can't pick your own gimmick. So what vocational gimmick do you assign each other? He's like, all right.
Ooh.
Larson, you give Steve his vocational gimmick. Steve, you give Larson his vocational gimmick.
So you're the janitor of the performance center, and all your feuds spring up because somebody leaves the stall, and you walk in and see how badly they tore it up, and you're like, oh, I just cleaned this one.
Bro, why you always gotta bury me? The other day I said, hey, what champion am I? You're like, you're the hot dog champion. I'm like, you just calling me a fat piece of shit, Larson. Now you're saying I'm a janitor? No offense to janitors, to maintenance crew, sorry. Yeah. You're like, hey, Steve, your gimmick is going to be you have to look at everybody's shit. You're so fucked up, bro. Thought we had each other's back.
What do you got for me, huh? Mikasha says that's a good gimmick for NXT. It is. It's relatable. That. How many times have you as a person gone to a bathroom and just seen somebody absolutely destroy it? Like, how'd you get on the walls?
You're the guy. Okay, this is your gimmick. You're the guy who goes around trying to introduce himself, but he touches everybody's fucking drawstrings instead.
Oh, that's too far. That's messed up.
How are you gonna say I went to shake her hand and I touched her drawstring?
I don't know how that works,
man.
I don't know how that works.
What? How does that even work?
I don't know how that works.
How does that work?
Ugh.
You're unintentionally you unintentionally get yourself canceled on a regular basis. Oh man. Oh golly, dude. And then he's just gone like that. Man. That was funny. That made me laugh.
Nick Kyle here.
You gotta stare at everybody's shit every day.
Nick Kyle here asked, if you two are running NXT, how would you change the presentation and lighting of the show? To say we can't take the show on the road, it has to stay in the Performance Center.
Sorry, fucking Zondo said she had her hands in the suck it pose.
Oh my goodness.
I can't, bro. Drawstring Jones. You're the new scapegoat. That's your gimmick out. I'm the new scapegoat.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow. Goodness gracious. What's the question? Sorry.
How would you change NXT's presentation? And you can't leave the Performance Center. Have to stay in the Performance Center because that's too easy to answer. Take it out of the Performance Center.
Oh no.
Don't make it so bright. It's too bright.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I would just do this, and because I mentioned this before, because people were talking about like CM Punk taking over NXT, right?
Yeah. Oh, you want to grunge it up a little bit?
His branding, right? That's all I got to say is CM Punk's branding.
All right.
Applied to NXT.
All right.
That's what I would do.
All right. You expand the PC, and since you can't do it outwards, you got to do it upwards.
Oh, dude. Oh, I'm lightheaded. I'm fucking lightheaded right now.
And so, as especially when they moved to the CW, you need a lot more seats. And so they build an extra warehouse on top and take the roof off. And so you got like an airport hangar, essentially. They have these matches in where people are 200 feet high up.
Oh, my God.
And since you can't expand outwards,
Yeah.
you just have like a row of seats every 12, 15 feet up that people take stairs up to on the outside of the building because you can't add more room on the inside.
Dangerous on
I know. And so you got people 200 feet up having to peer over the edge of a guardrail to watch the show.
I mean,
they'll expand up.
You got these dudes like Javon Evans. It's like he's getting too much air.
Yeah.
So you got to build another story. Oh man, yeah, man. Re-envision wrestling vertically.
Vertically, indeed. Instead of having one large mat in the middle, you got smaller mats throughout.
It's like a platform game. Yeah,
exactly.
And they get to main wrestling. What the fuck is this? Just a ring with 4 sides? What am I supposed to do with this?
What am I supposed to do with this? How am I supposed to innovate?
Oh, God, dude, seriously, I got lightheaded. I just laughed so hard. That was a shock to my system. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, my goodness. Doc Hensel asks, who are some NXT stars you're excited to finally watch on a full-time basis? So I think Obafemi was just having video packages when we stopped.
Yeah. He throw a couch?
Yes.
He threw a couch outside.
So I'm excited to see him on a regular basis.
Yeah,
now.
I'll be honest.
Really
kind of
good.
disappointed they dropped the couch throwing gimmick.
Well, it's one episode, Steve.
That's a good point. Maybe he's like next week, like he'll see Ivar backstage and be like, Ivar, Ivar,
couch,
like Jack Ruby.
Yeah, couch.
Oh man, yeah, Julie. Yeah, I wonder. That's the thing, though. It's like, given that.
Two World Order said shock system, put him up, might be the last time.
All right, fuck what I was about to say. That's gonna do it for this show today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Let's see. So we had at one point over 1,000 people, and look at it, 858 people. Like NXT, click.
Look at that, 400 likes though. That's good.
Oh my God, 423 likes.
The people have spoken.
Oh, gee. And
NXT's here to stay, even though Steve is super critical and hates it.
Listen, we're already at 4,500 views on the episode. We might get to 10,000 within 12 hours.
It's entirely possible.
Oh, my goodness gracious. All right. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks for tuning in. Hilton's right there. He's crying also.
Will you stop, please?
He's right there. He's laughing.
Enough.
He's like, Duda. And he's telling us to wrap it up. So we're going to do that.
He's not saying anything because he ain't there.
God, dude, tomorrow, oh my God, the thumbnail's going to have, it's so
blurry.
I'm so embarrassed to watch.
Shaky camera footage. You can't make out anything.
Oh my, yeah, that's going to be the thumbnail. It's going to be so blurry and shaky.
You're going to find the one with the most motion blur because the camera's moving.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. What do you think? Let me ask you this. Take a bet or give us your best prediction. You know, I've got for these thumbnails, I got like, usually, not today, I did a split screen thing, but like I got the big red banner.
Yeah.
What is it going to say?
Something along the lines of footage disappoints.
Nothing burger?
Yeah, nothing burger. Why, Tony, why?
Why, Tony, why?
You know,
what
something like
mess.
that. Something like that. That's what my gut's telling me.
Sando says, Punk poops. Punk slips in own filth. Oh, man. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you guys later.
Goodbye.